Well, you will all be pleased to know that not only is my air conditioner on now, I got a haircut. It's Romania Black, and man, season 6 started out so well, but Romania was not in the best of conditions when reacting. I had held off from turning my air conditioner on as long as I could. My hair was like plastered to my head. I was sweating. I was highly uncomfortable during that reaction, and after I recorded the discussion, I was like, "Girl, you need to turn the air on." So we are back, but episode 1 of season 6 was so good, and hopefully you all thought the reaction was okay and the discussion was okay, because afterwards my moderator was like, "Oh, that's my favorite episode of Natsume," and I was like, "Oh god, I hope I did it justice." So hopefully you all thought it was all right. I felt like I really loved the episode, and the themes and everything was so good, but when you're uncomfortable, you often feel in hindsight like, man, I could have maybe done that better. So we're going to remedy that for the rest of season 6. But yeah, so we're on season 6, episode 65 altogether. It's so crazy to think that we're 65 episodes into this series. We're not ready to talk about the manga yet. That's not going to be till episode 6 and after that. So we're going to hold off on talking about the manga for seasons 5 and 6 until after that moment, and we'll just build up to it. But yeah, so last week we had the Days Eater, which was such a fascinating yokai. I had wondered if we would ever get like for Madara and Natsume as a child to interact, if we were going to flashback to that. Well, no, we didn't have to worry about that because it actually happened in this, but we got Tanama and Tagi taking care of him. It was wonderful throughout. So I only have a couple comments before we start this. These are actually from the season 5 OVA number 2, and they are from patrons Shimoyama and Sunspots. Shimoyama points out that actually the little knapsack that Madara is carrying in the OVA is not a knapsack. It is a furoshiki, a square plain cloth that Nyanko Sensei prepares for his banquet. He wraps sake, snacks, and his ochoko and carries it on his back. That is kind of a knapsack to me, but I understand the cultural significance, so we'll just call it that. But furoshiki are very handy, and unfortunately, Nyanko Sensei forgot to bring his back. Well, he got crunk at the party and left it there, as one usually does if they get drunk and leave their belongings there. Maybe one of his friends will bring it back to him. Although, are they just drinking buddies, or are they more than that? That is the question. And then Sunspots for the OVA says, "I love that the yokai really did just want to play hide and seek with someone who cared. The line that Natsume, quote, looked with sorrow at my wounds, end quote, is another example of yokai who are a lot more astute than a majority of the humans that Natsume encounters." Yeah, and I feel like it's always frustrating because sometimes people are categorized as weird or different in a negative way because they don't fit societal norms. But then you actually get to talking to those people and they are super caring and nice. And it's like, oh, you just can't handle them being different than you because you don't understand it. Okay. And I feel like Natsume encounters that quite a bit because of him being able to see yokai. Sunspot says, "I hope there is somewhere a compilation of all the things Madara gets called. My favorite in this episode was a four-legged rice cake." Yeah, four-legged rice cake is definitely up there. I think that there is probably, you would think there's somebody on YouTube that has put all of that together. You would think. You would think. But anyway, I'm super excited for this episode. Speaking of patrons, as Sunspots and Shimoyama are, they are part of the philanthropy tier over on Patreon. They might be in the commission tier for this month, but they are part of the patrons that help support this channel a little extra more each month, so I give them a shout out in my video. But I am super appreciative of all the patrons over on Patreon who help keep this channel funded so I can get things to help run the channel and do subscriptions and things like that. So thank you all so much for your support. I truly appreciate it. But a special shout out to our philanthropy tier members this week, which include Alex Cornejo, Anime Annie, Be Happy, Dana, Damage3245, Devorin, Destiny Marie, Danger Zone, as well as Eric Ichu, Fisho, Ghostly Turnip, El Cuno, El Freya, Liam, Lyndon, Liam Posel, as well as Matthew Palfinier, Nicholas, Adam Perez, Alexandra Q, Sunspots, Shimoyama, Translucent Men, Starman AA, and Bisa. You all are amazing. I am so appreciative of your support each month, as I am with all of those on Patreon and all of those who subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Thank you for your support. All of my love. But yeah, the thing about Natsume episodes that's so fun is that you don't know what you're going to get because, surprise, They're pretty episodic unless it's a twofer, and we're not at the twofer yet, but we're very close. We are very close. So we'll just have to see how that goes. But in the meantime, I'm excited to dive into this episode and see what we get. So we are going to start episode 2 of season 6, which is the craziest thing to be uttering. But here we are. And we are going to start that here in 3, 2, 1. And let's go. I really like this opening so far. This piano is pretty cool. And then Reiko, obviously. That animation is so damn fluid. I live for it. I'm guessing Roku means 6. I might fix these real quick and do that while we're waiting on this intro. I love this intro. The animation is stunning. They went all out. The shots of Reiko in the kimono is beautiful. And then Natsume with Madara. Madara's animated so well. It's so fluid. I love it. And man, talking about the Days Eater, where you have Natsume going up to his child self. I don't know if the song is one of my favorites yet. I think there have been better OP songs. But graphics-wise, this is one of my favorites. So that shrine with the flower, is that connecting Madara to Reiko, or is that going to be something else with a different yokai? They're doing a lot in this OP to connect Madara and Reiko together. You're not helping my theories, show. You're not helping the allegations at all. I love that opening sound. It's so good. Oh. Better hurry up, Toko. And Madara's over there. Oh. And she's making an excuse. She doesn't want him to know that she knows. No, it's there. Oh, wow. That's hard to miss. Hard to miss. Yeah, it's beautiful. Oh, man. It's a shame. It blooms tomorrow. I wonder if that has any relation to the rock with the flower on it. Man. Aw, I love we're getting to see their fishing trips. Oh, shit. Huh. Oh. Okay, well, he's easy to convince. I mean, I can relate to that. Oh, wow. That's an interesting change in perspective. Interesting. Interesting. We're getting crunk! Having a party in your room? Oh my god, the cap is here too! Ah! Oh. The stonewasher. Silly fool! Oh. I love how happy they are drinking. Oh. Oh, so purifying the rocks. Oh. Yep. Ah! Oh my god. Lucky, lucky. Oh my god. Oh my god! Oh my god! All these drunk bitches in his room! Wee! Oh my god! Unhinged. Unhinged. Which we're going to talk about. Yeah, why the stones? Some kid probably peed on it. Or something more noble like that. Yes, sure. Well, we'll talk about that as well. Would we consider Taki and Tanuma the stonewashers of Natsume's soul? I would have touched the Imperial Rocks. Yeah. No, you're not. You're really not. It's love, bitch. Even if it's platonic, it's still love. Oh. Okay. You vulgar boy. How's that work then? Oh. That seems interesting. Oh. Oh, is this the stonewasher? Oh my god! Ha! Oh no! He's the stonewasher. You knocked out the stonewasher. I mean, it's his own fault for surprising you. Oh. He really could pass as an old man. Ah. Nanamaki. Oh my god! Quit making out in the bushes, mid-ranks! I'm not doing a pride float for them. Make them leave. Ah! Oh my god! Stop it! Oh no! No, that's not the case. Will you be my cartographer, young mouse boy? Interesting. Interesting. Then you guys help him. Ah! With the Madara with the parrot face is funny. Oh god. That's a lot. Oh. 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 Oh, you took a Padawan? Interesting. Oh, you can see his eye under the mask. Oh. Oh. Huh. Right, you go out and do, you know. Interesting. I'm so fascinated. Oh. Oh. Have the exorcist captured them? Have the exorcist captured them? That'd be problematic. Oh my god, Madara. Uh, okay. Hmm. What a pain. Oh, Natsume's in his manipulative era. Okay. Okay. Interesting. And Madara's not gonna say no to that because it keeps Natsume out of trouble. Oh. Oh. Ah! Madara's so excited. Oh! As he's eating the shrimp too. There's gonna be like the stonewasher in the room with them. Yes. Mm. Oh. Oh. Well, now wait a minute. Right. But this isn't actually Natsume, it's just Natsume imagining himself. Okay, yeah. Although the hair under the hood kind of looked a little similar. But there's a lot of blondish, red-haired characters in this series. Oh, shit. Yes, now! Oh, you've pretty much found the student. Well, that was fast, yes. Oh my god. I did not say that. Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm glad that Toko and them can't hear those yokai. Oh god! You're late! Oh, I mean a summons! Sure! Huck, be nice. Oh, yes. Okay. Tell us more, Rabbit Yokai. Oh. So that was him or them, because they haven't specified. Yep, I was wondering that. Oh no. Maybe it just sealed it. Oh. Oh no. You were there. Well, why not? Oh. Well, now it's like, no. Now he's involved, yes. Interesting that we're all good until the exorcists get involved. Oh. Natsume, you can't totally stay out. Of course not. Azuma. Oh. Oh. Interesting. Well, he's not gone yet. And Natsume has seen its flowers. Okay, so it is a different location. Okay, well, you know, nothing like a dark cave. Ah! You could have flew. Oh. Oh. Yeah. Oh. So they won't be able to stonewash anymore. Oh my god. But he wants to save him. If they've been sealed, are they just hoping that it reacts to them yelling? Okay. Oh. Oh, shit. Natsume just whips his arm in there. Doesn't care if it attacks it or not. We gonna make this like Jesus. He's gonna come out in 3 days. Or we'll just speed this process up. I was thinking they were going to have to wait till sun comes out, but Nyako Sensei's like, nah. We're not wasting time. Oh, wow. I love the blue. The blue glowing is amazing. Okay, we're going to make this an elaborate drawing to get this stone purified. Oh. Oh, live. Oh, yes, please. Get you them rainbows. Ah. Laid by the week. All right. Is it Asuma, though? Oh. Madara's not helping them at all, Push. You are the biggest presence there, sir. Ah, damn it. Oh. 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 That's really sad. Oh. 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 Right, yes, very. Oh. Oh. Okay, yes, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Yes. I was like, yes, go back to the rocks. Mm. Oh. Oh, he misses him. Oh. 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 Mm. Oh. Stop! Don't give him those little big beady eyes. Oh. Oh. Well, it's not the place, it's the people. Oh. Hmm. Right. Hmm. Mm. You do owe them a favor. Aw. 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 You know. Aw. Damn. What an episode. Come on, season 6. Get it. Man. Y'all, 4, 5, and 6. 4 and 5 were amazing seasons, and this one's shaping up to be good already. I'm here for it. I really like the CD. Again, the song for season 5 CD is definitely my favorite so far. And season 2 is probably right behind it. But this CD visuals are really cute. I really like the visuals of the OP and ED so far for season 6. Aww. Mm. Aww. So pretty. Aww. All right. Well, we definitely have things to talk about. Huckleberry just sat at my feet while I was getting ready to start this discussion and just farted like you wouldn't believe, and then walked off. And so it's like, how dare you? Just being too much information. I'm sorry, but I was like, oh, I'm being as bad as Madara in this. Man, season 4 and season 5 have been my favorite seasons so far. They're both amazing in different ways, but they're my favorites. But already season 6, you're getting right up there. So, damn, this show ages like a fine wine. It just gets better and better the more it goes. Because, again, like I talked about last episode, you get all these callbacks and all of these things starting to add up with Natsume that's all very subtle, but very well done. So this episode was pretty simple. I can't decide. We're going to have to find out whenever we get to the manga. I can't decide if it's an anime only or if it is a manga. I can't tell anymore. I used to be able to tell pretty quickly if things were manga and just anime only, or if they were manga related. But now it's really hard to tell because the show has kind of evolved so much and incorporated so many elements. The only thing I can ever tell that I know is anime only is when Sasada shows up, because I'm like, she exited the series in the manga like way back in season 1. So that's literally the only thing I can tell. But yeah, so here we have, I could see this being a manga chapter though, being the stain on the rock, being the flower. Again, really good callback to last season where Toko, we found out Toko knows that Natsume can see spirits or can see things that she cannot, at the very least. She knows, but she doesn't want to let on that she knows to make him feel uncomfortable. So when she's like, oh, it must be my eyes, he realizes that it's something related to yokai and that's why she couldn't see it. So he's like, oh no, it's totally fine. But there's that callback to start out with. And again, every time they take a shot to Madara and Madara just has this little like cat-like look on his face, like, I know something you don't. It's so frustrating. I'm like, Madara, come on now. But yeah, so anyway, this episode starts out with, it blooms tomorrow. I love that. We'll talk about the title of this episode as we go. We finally get to see a fishing trip between Kishimoto and Nijimura and Natsume. We finally get to see them on their infamous fishing trips. Maybe we've seen it before, but this is kind of one of the few times we actually get to see it go down. It's what's so interesting is that Natsume from the start sees the rocks that have been purified, but instead of investigating like he would have done in the past, he decides, no, let's leave and we'll just go get some food and stuff, which Nijimura is pretty easy to make go anywhere. He's like, okay. And Kishimoto's like, what? You guys want to fish now? You want to eat burgers? I'm like, that happens quite often. At least I've experienced that. But I think it's such an interesting character growth for Natsume. And at the beginning of the episode, I was a little bit apprehensive because I was like, I get why Natsume, he's kind of learned his lesson from last season, that it can be dangerous to get involved with yokai you don't fully understand. It can be difficult and not always a good thing to take sides or try to be the middleman, like he's seen with Matoba and Notori and some of the other exorcists involving Toko and his friends. And so Natsume decides, you know what? Kind of leading off from last episode, he's like, I don't really want to get involved with yokai if I don't have to. I'm taking a step back. I'm like, that's character growth. That's character growth for Natsume, to not get immediately meddling in everything, because he's learned that sometimes there are yokai in situations that you are not stronger than, and he doesn't want to get his two friends caught up in that, especially Nijimura and Kishimoto, because they can't see yokai. It would be different if it was Tanama and Taki, because they can and they know about the yokai. These two guys don't, and so Natsume's like, no, let's not get involved. But I think it's a major character growth from him, because Natsume at the beginning of this show would probably have gone off on his own and been like, oh, hey guys, I'll meet up with you later. I got to go take care of something, or I got to go leave. And he would have investigated the situation. Whereas now that he's had this growth, he's like, no, I'm just not going to mess with the yokai today. And I'm going to go hang out with my friends. And that's going to be that. I'm going to take them out of the dangerous situation and we're just going to leave. That's character growth. My only apprehension was, I was afraid from last episode and this episode that it was that Natsume wasn't going to get involved and help the yokai, which would seem out of character for him. But that's not the case. The case is rather that when he's with his friends, he has to make the decision that is most beneficial for himself and everyone around him. And for Natsume to make a decision that benefits himself is huge. Huge. And plus, if you think about it, if he had pursued, it actually ended up working out for him, because if he had pursued the yokai from the start and ditched Nijimura and Kishimoto, then he could have ran him off, and he could have ran Azuma off, and then the stonewasher would have never found him. So it all ended up working out in the long run. But yeah, so he had the painted rocks, and he says it's best if for both sides to not get involved. That was the one thing that made me a little bit sad at the beginning, because he's like, they're pretty, but it's best to stay away from things that you don't understand, and to not get in, it's best for both sides if you don't get involved. I was a little sad at that at first, because I thought that meant that Natsume was starting to scale back from interacting with the yokai and helping them, that he was starting to withdraw and isolate himself, which Notori has, kind of advocated he don't do, because he's like, I did that and look how I turned out. But that's not really the case. It just shows Natsume is learning that until you know more evidence, until you know what you're dealing with, maybe stay back until you have the full story, which is smart, especially after what he went through in seasons 4 and seasons 5. I love the yokai, the mid-ranks, Hinoue, and Madara just getting crunk in his room. The best part is Toko and Shiguru can't hear the yokai. They have no clue this is going on. They're just hearing Natsume yelling and throwing Madara across the room. Right? Which is funny. But he's like, come on. I love the Kappa shows up. The Kappa's so innocent. These yokai just want to have drinking parties at Natsume's house and just like drink off his sake and mooch with it. And Natsume can't even enjoy it because he's like, I'm a minor. I'm not going to do this. This episode also, these last couple seasons have really invested a lot of time and energy in making Madara the cutest thing in the world, because him just rotating back and forth with the sake bottle was 1,000 times precious. I loved that. I thought that was so cute. And Natsume's like, get out of here. I love that Kappa joins the one mid-rank being like, celebratory sake. And then when he threw Madara at the window and he was like, wee. So, oh my God. This series, so funny. The humor was on point. I loved it. So Natsume tells Tanama and Taki about the stones. We find out that the stonewashers are these yokai who've trained for an insane amount of time. They've come from this paradise and they were sent out to go and basically purify these stones that have been made impure. And they have to do 80,000 before they're allowed back into the village. So it is a little bittersweet when Natsume's like, he wishes that Tanama and Taki could see what he sees so they wouldn't be constantly, he wishes he could show them what he sees. And that leads him to realize he's not alone anymore. He not only has friends like Nishimura and Kishimoto who are just kind to him without knowing his secrets about the yokai, but he has a support system like with Tanama and Taki who do know that he has these abilities and they support him as well. So Natsume's pretty lucky. He's like, if just hearing about them made them this happy, I'm not alone anymore, am I? I want to make them happy too. I definitely like that. I like the idea of Natsume being like, I have to protect what we have that has developed between us, which I'm sure it's going to be challenged this season and next season. You know it is. They mentioned exorcists in this episode, and just the mention of it made me go, oh God, we're going to deal with the exorcists, aren't we? Because they're just a bunch of people, aren't they? But yeah, so the marking faded on the rock. The purification had ended. And he's like, you vulgar boy, how do you know that marking would have even shown up? I like how Madara seeks to correct Natsume, and it's like, really? Is that going to be necessary? A beautiful, pure paradise. And when they finish their training, they go on a journey to wash stones. So then we meet the stonewasher, who is actually adorable. Both of the yokai were adorable this episode. I wouldn't put them in the top 10 of the cutest yokai we've seen, but I loved the old man, the stonewasher. Like, occasionally the little mask would ride up and you could see his eyes, and we do like little closed eye, half moon. So cute. And then the kid, Azuma, which is not really a kid, they just kind of look like that. I liked one that they were very like non-gender specific throughout this. It just kept saying it, but not in like a derogatory way, just that the yokai doesn't have a gender. But also at first, the way that the hair peeked out from under the hood, it seemed like it was the same color as Natsume's or Reiko's, which seemed like it was the show intentionally throwing that red herring there. Because at one point, Natsume has the flashback where he relates to Azuma, and you kind of wonder for a second, like, it's not Natsume. But then, yeah, they immediately clear that up. So the mid-ranks decide to help out the stonewasher, find their student that has disappeared. I'm a traveler and having trouble figuring out the lay of the land. And Natsume says, I don't do favors for yokai. That part is definitely growth and development for Natsume. That is growth and development where he's like, okay, here's the thing. Natsume has come a long way. Before, in seasons prior, Natsume would have helped out any yokai that asked for his help, no questions asked, and Madara had to tell him over and over again, being like, you're going to get taken advantage of, you're going to get used, you're going to get involved in something dangerous, and Natsume did it anyway. And then seasons 4 and 5, Natsume figured out, he found the F out what could happen if he gets involved, especially if something with the yokai involves the exorcists, you know? So I like that Natsume's kind of learned. And there's a distinction because he says, I don't do favors for yokai. He's like, no, we're going to draw a boundary. I'm not going to do that and get taken advantage of. Sorry. But I think the main reason he was so adamant about saying, no, we're good, is because he saw that the yokai wasn't in distress. The yokai didn't immediately ask for like help finding a friend. At first, he's like, oh, I just have a favor about the lay of the land. And he's like, nope, ask the mid-ranks. I'm not getting involved. The moment, what made me happy was the moment that it came down to actually finding Azuma and helping the yokai in that regard. Then Natsume was all over it. Because I was afraid at first. I was like, oh, is Natsume going to give the cold shoulder to all the yokai and all the exorcists? I don't blame him on giving the cold shoulder to the exorcists because they're a bunch of bitches. But, for the most part anyway. But what about the yokai? But that's not the case. It's just Natsume is growing to the point where he's like, look, if you really desperately need help, sure. But if these mid-ranks can help you, then let them do it. So he's like, I took on, one day a starving yokai in a beat up robe wandered into the village. And so I took them on. And they became a stonewasher. They were really good at it. And so he's like, frustrating left, they were good at their job. And they got better and better. And then they left the village to do what stonewashers do. And I kept getting letters from them. But then they suddenly disappeared. So I went looking for them. Natsume comes to the idea later on that he kind of relates to Azuma, feeling like, am I going to outgrow? I think that Natsume's reached a point in the series where he is thinking a tiny bit, the tiniest bit, about the future. And he's like, what happens if I have to leave? If it gets to the point where the exorcists drive me away from Toko and Shigeru, or if I have to leave home after I graduate from high school, like, when I have to leave, what is that going to be like? And I feel like he kind of asks the same question, like, are Toko and Shigeru going to write to me? Am I going to write back to them? Am I going to be alone on my journey? Or am I going to have people with me that can follow me on my journey as well? Like, what about Madara? I think the images of the future started to hit Natsume a little bit, and he could relate a little bit to Azuma. And he's like, I decided here to come see what I could learn to find my student. And they're like, well, it was 6 months ago, so what if they've already left? And like Madara's just like, maybe got sick of writing your letters. I'm like, Madara, you're not helping matters at all. Like, what are you doing, sir? So Natsume's like, I don't know. And then he has the mid-ranks help instead. He's like, go look around for a traveling yokai, check for flower paintings, do all this. And they're like, well, I guess we could do that. And he's like, it might be worth it to make me owe you a favor. Natsume was very like Reiko in that moment, being like, although I don't know if Reiko would have organized the yokai to the extent that Natsume did. I don't know if Reiko would have gone through with all that. I think Reiko would have just taken the name and left. But here Natsume is like, well, if I've got to be an organizer, I guess we'll do it this way. I'm like, Natsume's entering his manipulative CEO era. I don't know how to feel about it. It feels so mature for Natsume. I'm like, oh, did turning into a kid last week rattle your brain just a slight bit? And they're like, okay, we'll have some sake and just do what you said. I feel like Madara was proud of him, though, in that moment, because Madara has also been on Natsume to be like, you need to not do all of these things that you clearly can't do because you're a human. If you have people you care about, you need to keep yourself safe so that they won't be worried about you. And so that gives Natsume an incentive to ask the mid-ranks to help him, right? And it kind of goes back to the OVA a little bit, where he asked them to help him as well. So again, building that continuity, which is great. And so, yeah. Oh, Shigure made tempura shrimp for Madara and Natsume, and Madara is the most happy. I love these, like, Natsume, don't you think a fried shrimp's tail looks like a heart? I just love it. I love Madara as such a foodie, and I hear him. I'm right up there with him. I love it. He's like, it's rare for you to send the dog circle to help someone. And Natsume's like, I'm not into it right now, but it crossed my mind. Thoughts about myself. One day when a starving yokai in a beat-up robe wandered into the village, and he thinks of himself getting taken in by the Fujiwaras, and he's like, and I decided to let it stay for a while. Am I going to leave this place someday? And that is a genuine thought, and it's not just a thought of, will I leave because Matoba or the Exorcist make me leave? It's like, no, once I'm an adult, am I going to stay here through adulthood? Um, what happens after I graduate high school? What am I going to do then? Am I going to stay with the Fujiwaras, or am I going to go get my own place? How's that going to work? And then he's like, if I was his student, I'd want to send letters to keep in touch, I suppose. Which is like, you know he would with Toko in them. You know he would. There's no question. He's like, I would want to go back. I would want to go home. I hope he finds it. So I think Natsume wants to, he's like, if I did want to go back to the Fujiwaras after I left home, I would want them to accept me back and want me back and miss me, just like this yokai is missing Azuma. So there's definitely that connection there, and I thought that was really, really well done. So then he hears Azuma, his voice, and he's like, I can't go back because, of course, because Exorcist meddled. And that's kind of, I know I gave Natsume a little bit of flack at the beginning of this episode in the discussion, but honestly, when you think back about it, the Exorcist getting involved and the Exorcist doing what it didn't need to do, like, of course, it's like meddling when you don't understand. The Exorcist that sealed Azuma thought he was doing graffiti on the rocks. First of all, why does it matter if he's doing graffiti on the rocks? Nobody can see it except for you. But second, because he meddled without understanding what Azuma was doing, he ruined Azuma's chance of being able to go back home. And I think that Natsume, one of the reasons why he agrees to help is because he can relate to that. The Exorcist, once the Exorcists were mentioned, all bets were off. It's like up until the Exorcists got involved, Natsume was like, oh, this is between you yokai. This is not needing human involvement. I just happen to be able to see what you guys see, but you guys take care of it yourselves. Talk amongst yourselves. We're good. The moment the Exorcists got involved, Natsume was like, oh, so I guess I'm helping now? Natsume really doesn't like the Exorcists at all. And I think he doesn't like the fact of how they treat the yokai, and they meddle and they get involved and they ruin things. Like they've ruined this yokai's chance of continuing to be a stonewasher. And Natsume's like, well, shit, I guess I've got to get involved now to clean up their mess. It's kind of hilarious. But also they immediately found the student. I like that the one mid-rank was like, you know, you were going to give us a double favor. And Natsume's like, I said nothing of the sort. No. So they end up going to find out where it is. I love Natsume's hoodie. I also love that Mrs. Uso shows up and he's like, I heard it was a drinking party. I mean, a summons. They're already drinking sake by the ladleful. I love that Mitsuru has a ladle for his sake glass instead of just sipping it out. Or Chobi's just sipping it by the ladle, whichever works. I love that they just basically had a giant drinking party and they're like, oh yeah, while we're here, can we help you? The yokai are all a bunch of lushes and Natsume's like, I gotta be your designated driver. Awesome. So yeah, we asked around and this shady rabbit that's getting crunk with us, he thinks he knows something. But then yeah, of course, an exorcist appeared. Someone that looked like an exorcist. It looked like a beginner. They started screaming about evil yokai making graffiti. Sounds like a bunch of like ignorant rednecks. They're like, oh my God, that yokai's got some graffiti. We gotta seal it up in the rock. It's like, And the moment that they said that, Natsume was like, well, I guess I'm involved now. Because he hates the exorcists. I don't think Natsume hates the exorcists, but I think he genuinely dislikes them. And dislikes the fact they get involved. And I think that helps to give Natsume the decision to not get involved himself because he's like, I don't want to be like the Exorcist. We've seen how they are. But yeah. So at first Natsume asks Madara to take him to where they think the rock is. But instead the one yokai is like, the stonewasher is like, I want to go there myself too. Why Madara didn't just fly them both there? I don't know, but it does make for a really cute scene of the mid-ranks being like, out of the way, out of the way. These two old men, yaoi yokai, clearing the way. And then you have Hinoue being like, coming through. And then, of course, the stonewasher says, this reminds me of Azuma. He did the same thing for me. Or it did the same thing for me. So yeah, they get to the stone, you know, and I love that they decide to do the flower and then use Madara's light to help break the seal and everything. And Madara lets the idea go through that, you know, since he was sealed, he's probably been made impure. He's not going to be able to be a stonewasher anymore. And it sounds like the stonewashers are pretty rare to begin with, because at the very end, Madara's like, oh, damn it, another stonewasher gone. Which does, you know, make you think, if the exorcists have been sealing them on accident, making them impure, they've kind of been, again, what? You mean to tell me that this show's giving us a message of humanity shooting itself in the foot? We never do that. Because, yeah, if the exorcists are creating their own problem, if they are making the stonewashers impure, the stonewashers' job is to rid impurities from the world. So if you get rid of the stonewashers, your impurities are just going to increase, which is going to increase problems for the exorcists. They're creating their own problems. Humanity's never done that before. Why would we? Right? But yeah, their power is very delicate, so you can't taint it. But the fact that the stonewasher still wanted to find Azuma, even after all that, shows that devotion. When he was like, I miss you, I want you to be here. Like that, again, Natsume doesn't know what we, the audience, knows. So when Natsume is like, you know, if I was made impure, if I was made to where I was rejected by society. So, for example, the stonewasher Azuma was rejected from paradise because he was tainted by his involvement with the exorcists. Natsume, in turn, is recognizing, if I'm like Azuma and my experiences with the exorcists make it to where Shiguru and Toko find out about me and the yokai and it taints my existence there, am I, one, going to get kicked out of paradise? Which the answer we, the audience, know is no. Toko and Shiguru are going to let Natsume stay because they know already. They're just humoring him. And two, would they care about me once I was expelled? And just like the stonewasher cares about Azuma regardless of his being tainted, I think that Natsume doesn't realize what we, the audience, realizes, and that's that this is a direct parallel to what we think would happen if Natsume was outed by the exorcists. Even if he left, Fujiwara and Shoko would still welcome him with open arms, or Toko and Shiguru would still welcome him with open arms. Tanama and Taki are still going to welcome him with open arms. Kishimoto and Nijimura are still going to welcome him with open arms. I'm pretty sure if they find out, because they love him platonically, as a friend, romantically, whatever, they would all support him. But Natsume doesn't realize that yet. But he kind of would hope that they would be like the stonewasher. And the answer is they would. And this could be foreshadowing to something that happens later on. Who knows? So they cast the spell. The flower with the rainbows and everything, I'm like, welcome to Pride Month. Welcome to Pride Month. I'm ready, but welcome. We're here. So, ta-da. So, yeah, we just start the month off with this beautiful flower. I'm all into it. So, yeah, now open seal laid by the week. Of course, Madara would have to be like, look at this pitiful seal. I love it. So, yeah, so they move the stone. They find that Azuma is gone, but they've hidden themselves because they're ashamed of the fact that they can't be a stonewasher anymore. There's just a lot of references inside here in this episode about using the stonewasher and Azuma as a comparison of how Natsume feels if he has to leave the safety network and paradise. Like, if he's expelled out of the literal paradise of the Fujiwaras that he's cultivated, what's going to happen? And the answer is kind of revealed in this episode. He's still going to get support and love, regardless if he's able to stay in the home or not. And we can only hope Natsume realizes that. But yeah, so then he mentions the rocks by the river, and he's like, oh, river, I've never gone there. I hurt my leg, so I don't go near rivers anymore. And that's when he takes him there, and they look for Azuma. And I just love that, again, we saw that rock face at the beginning, and this time you can see the little hand, and then he comes out from behind the rock face. He looked like, can I say it? He looked like a Naruto character. He looked like Gaara a little bit. I think it's the hair. He looked like a Naruto character. Just a hot second. But this little bandaged mummy boy comes out, Azuma does. And the fact that his all black eyes, like, are just the whole iris and they just well up with tears. He has little bug eyes. He has little butterfly bug eyes. That's so freaking precious. Oh my God. Love it. So yeah, Yes. That he ends up saying how much he missed him and that he wants to see him and stay with him. And I love the idea he says there. He's like, if they won't welcome us back into paradise, we'll find a new place to go back to. And I feel like Natsume needed to see this because it's like, it doesn't matter if the place was a paradise and it was beautiful. It's not the place that makes it worth staying. And that's such a good lesson, that you can find the most beautiful place in the world, but if you don't have anybody to share it with, it's kind of not worth it. It's like you need a place with people that care about you, that you love and love you back. Otherwise, it's just a pretty place, right? And that seems like it kind of goes back to Natsume's previous homes. Like, we've seen some homes in the past that he's been at that seemed really pretty on the outside, but he didn't have any love or support there, so what was the point in staying in them? Meanwhile, yeah, the Fujiwara's house is huge and it feels empty, and it may not be the nicest place in the world, but it has people that care about him, and that's what makes it. So I don't think Natsume realizes that even if he left, there would be people that would follow him wherever he went and supported him because they love him. And maybe Natsume will realize that by the end of season 7 or in future seasons. Who knows? But yeah, I love that Madara's just sitting there, another stonewasher gone, like just kind of moving back and forth like you do. And then he's sitting there, Ozma's heart must hurt deeply from not being able to fulfill its dream. Wounds get better with some good food and sleep. He's like, I need to thank the mid-ranks somehow. I like Natsume gets all flustered about the flower on the notepad, and I was like, dude, anybody, it doesn't matter what your sex is to draw a flower. You can draw a flower no matter who you are, and it's okay. But Natsume's growing up, so those boundaries are going to be tested, I'm sure. But this was such a good episode. I loved this. I loved all the callbacks. I loved the themes. I loved the animation. Some of the animation, especially on the flowers at the end, were gorgeous. But yeah, this was an amazing episode, and I really enjoyed it. So, as always, I want to hear what you all thought about episode 2 of Natsume's Book of Friends. But I'm excited for episode 3, which will be next week. Huzzah. In any case, I'm excited. I hope you all are as well. But I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back very soon with episode 3 of season 6 of Natsume's Book of Friends. Bye!